So I still have my hinge wood, but it's not going to tear. But I'll bet it tears down to here. We'll just see if I'm a prophet. Okay. Hey, call me a prophet. Got both cameras on. This may be 2 videos. We got 2 trees. We gotta take them down. Construction site. We got septic targets. I'm gonna take this hickory first, get it out of the way. All right. Should be pretty elementary takedowns. I've got with me my new notch quickie, and I'm going to utilize that on the trunk. I'm just going to run up with my lanyard. It'd be a pain in the butt going up this, but we'll get up there and then I'll just put this on. Nice little 2-button push to get it open, and then it's very secure and it's pretty heavy, which I'm happy with for a little, you know, flipping action there. But at any rate, I've got my new Vertec rope runner Vertec. I'm not going to use that on a spar. It's just bigger and longer. I've got my akimbo. I'm waiting on the new akimbo. I'm really interested in the new akimbo. Bring it on, folks, bring it on. All right, get my glove on here. Just gotta run up, but running up on a hickory is not going to be fun. I get this out of my way. I've only got a single tie-in, but I'm still on the ground. All right. Yeah, this is going to be pain in the tail to climb. I don't care if you got a steel core or what you got, this shagbark hickory. A lot of you guys that watch, you don't have hickory. They're like shards of bark, and they can cut you. You get caught on your rope readily. You can interfere with your gas. At least we're green. If this were dead, I'd be gaffing out left and right. But look at that. It's a real joy when you're pruning these and you are trying not to tear all that off. Because, you know, if you tear it off, you know, you're making compromises. You know, sometimes there's no compromise. I mean, it is exfoliating, right? But sometimes you get a little bit of cambium exposure. I'm working on this through a landscaper friend of mine, Bill Clunder. Oh, look at here. Now you say, oh, you didn't double tie in. Well, I got my lanyard on, and this is not like a single line. I don't know if it counts. If the intent of the, you shall have 2 points of contact when using, 2 points of tie-in when using a handsaw. If they were regarding the difference between a lanyard versus a single line you hit it with your handsaw, you could be going to the ground promptly. Now, what I can easily do is just, okay, I've got leather gloves on, and that was relatively simple. I like to feed the akimbo from the top. I'd never used the rope runner before. Come on, I got too much weight below me. I'd never used the rope runner. I'd see people like using an akimbo and they're loading it from the bottom up. But now after using a rope runner, I know why they do that. Because a rope runner works nicely to feed from the bottom up. Now the joy of this, you can't cross load it, you can't anything. All right. Now I'm fighting with two ropes up this hickory. Wow. Of course, I could just take this off. So I'm able to manipulate that with gloves on. Did I put a branch on my rope? I don't get into the tree without varying my line. That wasn't, oh, push it back in. So that manipulates pretty well with just plain leather gloves. I don't know if I'm on it or I might be through a little piece of bark, actually. All right. Stand clear below me. All right. Now I want to be sure I'm not hitting any oaks. So I'm gonna get up here, get in position. All right, that's another hickory over there. Go the other way. I'm gonna come up this way anyways. All right, so that's the cherry. There's a hickory over there. The oak is behind me. I have no contact. I can send this virtually this whole thing. Now I'll oftentimes do a slash cut, but I prep it on the bottom. And then you come down right on top of that. So in cases where maybe a branch might come down and hit you, you could see how that fell forward just a little into the notch, but then you just release it and it goes essentially straight down. I had that septic thing there to avoid. Now, following the principle of never leave a stub, we'll get this off. Maybe I'll leave myself a foot shelf. Okay, get this up and out of the way. Let's get back here and lean into this lanyard. I could just go, so I don't have any branches above me. But I wanted that to drop straight. I mean, I'm not gonna hurt that septic. I could crack that plastic over there though. So I didn't want it to go out that way. So we got her to drop straight down. I am losing my ballast. This trunk is starting to move. This little hickory is gonna do the jig on me once I have all these branches off. I'm gonna get up here. So I'm deferring gratification by doing the hickory first. It's not very pleasant. All right, whenever you're hanging your rope between your lanyard, you gotta watch out for your spikes, gaffing your rope. All right, now it's a little trickier. I don't want this going over into that oak. So I think I'm gonna, work my way up here. This one I got room. I can put that down. I'm gonna go out here to avoid my foot. If I take it here, I'm gonna hit my foot. Again, straight up, perpendicular to the ground. Able to mostly avoid the water pipes. All right. Shorten this up. We are on, 5-inch material here, 4-inch material maybe. But, it's hickory. Now, I think if I stay right here, I got a little bit of side lean this way. I'm gonna, now, hickory, talk about hingewood. I can rely on this hingewood to hinge. I can also rely on this hingewood to hang on and not go and then tear this all the way down and give me a jerk. So I'm going to cut a relief cut below here and on the backside, but far enough below so that it doesn't affect the movement of the log. It doesn't affect the integrity of my hinge. I don't want to cut right at the hinge. Now I've removed holding wood. If I cut below, I've removed tear wood, but I haven't removed hinging wood. So I want this, we got kind of a lean towards the oak. I want this to come sideways like this. And I can't go directly 90. I'm gonna go like right that way and try to get it to sweep down in there. So I'll be able to utilize a little bit of gravity weight. Okay, a little Humboldt, basically clean. All right, now I'm gonna cut down here. So I still have my hinge wood, but it's not gonna tear. But I'll bet it tears down to here. We'll just see if I'm a prophet. Okay, hey, call me a prophet. That could have, in the springtime here, that could have tore all the way down here, jerked me, took me for a little ride, popped my spikes out. I fall against this shard bark. All right, we can rewatch that on the video, but I got my movement and then this broke out because the weight wanted to take it that way. So if I would have, you know, maybe tried to get greedy and go a full over here, it probably would have broke sideways and swept this oak. But that's flowering white oak. So those hanging flowers are the male flowers of the white oak. And I would have swept that branch, maybe broke it. And then, you know, I don't have my lift here. I'd have to try to do mitigation. I just don't want, I don't want to touch a leaf on that oak. It's gonna be a little trickier over there. I think on the cherry, I'm gonna work up in there and hand cut that and just pull that away after I clear all this, and I'll just drop it right down there. So we are done. We'll make this shorter, you know, my little motto, nothing wrong with a short trunk. Is there some place to lay this? Maybe, but why? I'm already on the tree, you know. It's like, and let the West Coast fallers do their little tricks. When you're on a residential property, you know, there's no reason for taking chances. Now I know Buck and Billy Ray, he does a lot of residential properties. It's like in British Columbia, it's kind of, there's a fine line between wilderness and residential. All right, got no concerns with lawn damage or anything. So if you weren't adept at landing things flat, and I'm fairly adept at landing things flat, this would be the time to practice. Right here, you run into something like this, and then you want to practice. So let's practice. Let's do a hinge. Now hickory can hang on, so I got a 40 foot trunk at the cut, so I'm gonna want an 8-foot stick. That's not 8 foot yet. Oh, did I tell you? I predicted it. Oh, it put me right in the right spot. So you see how much shorter the akimbo is than the rope runner. For this type of activity, it's just way better. And if you wrap it around the trunk a little bit, give yourself some angle. Now, all right. So we've got I might not quite be 8 foot. I might not be quite 40. So this is gonna be very close to level, but I'm gonna cut the side curves on this. Now I'm cutting over 50%. And just a little bit of cleanup in there for the corner. Kind of doing that by feel. Okay. Now we could cut off a little bit of, I want to lower this rope a little bit, it's a little close to the action. We're going to cut off a little lip there. All right, now we're going to cut our, not as critical here, I can get a little closer. Now, because I'm over 50%, there will be somebody that says, that's way too deep. Look at what I'm dealing with. A little tiny baby piece. Oh, yeah, I wasn't quite 40. So it didn't quite get around. That means I was about 12 inches long. So maybe my cut's at 35 feet and I should have had a 7-foot piece. You know, there's a little bit of estimation here, but because I'm not in a pristine lawn, you know, I don't care about that little dig, but it was a chance to get just a little bit more polished. So what did I learn after 30 years? Well, you know, take your time on the estimation part. Now, if I hit a groundy, I could have said, hey, triangulate this for me, give me my height. All right, so I knew the last one was a little long, so we're gonna do about a 6-footer here. Still didn't get that angle. Holy mackerel. My little tail is hanging up there. Look at that. I knew my rope was below. My little tail. All right, that looks like I'm going on the right angle there. So normally, oh, still a little Dutchman there. All right, a little bit more. Now let's do it without the relief cut. I just got a small piece. All right. So right there, that piece turned it and put it over there instead of having it right there. So what would my relief cut have done? It would have eliminated that right there. If that was a bigger piece, that could have been a tear down the side. So even on little simple stuff, relief cuts are good to do. All right, now here's my preferred method. And this might be why I'm not as good as August Honeckey or Jacob Rogers on flopping the logs flat, is because one, we're usually not dropping 15-foot logs from 80 feet. generally choose to break cut this situation. It's not that big. Hickory is durable, and I cut it perpendicular to myself just so it can't break to me. And you wiggle it back and forth, and you can guide it and make it land flat, but just a break cut. And always cut your second cut on the bottom. So this kerf, you see this remaining kerf? Well, if you were up here, if that kerf, flip that over and think of that kerf being on the stump, and your saw's going with it. That's disconcerting, shall we say. You know, and I'm gonna still employ, nothing wrong with a short trunk. I'm on the trunk. It's a stinking hickory. I can't like hustle down this thing fast. Just gonna make sure no structures, including that little septic thing, are in my way, that they aren't gonna be in my way. Now a hickory, I would never just back cut. I would never try to hinge it on the bark, because a whole bunch of sapwood's gonna go with it. It's gonna hang on and tear and everything. Now we're going to cut this over halfway. I'm cutting not perpendicular to myself, I'm cutting parallel to myself now. I'm going to cut it just before it drops. And now it leans into that. It's sitting on the kerf. So it leans away from me. And then it's thin enough, I can just break it off. Yeah, we'll do one more. And we got guaranteed height. From here, it looks like, maybe I'm before that thing, but I know if I take this off, it's game over. Okay, I made that a little thicker. Might not break as nicely. Oh, it broke just fine. And I put a little hand on it, got it all the way around, even though that was longer than it should have been. Let's just take this off. So very nice. Boom, it's right back on. Very secure little unit. So you can get this at Cheryl Tree, and if you use coupon code ArborCare, all caps, you get 15% off. Coupon code ArborCare. And you know, for a limited time, they're putting vouchers out for our biochar body bar and shampoo, 2 for 1. So you get 15% off, and you get a voucher for 2 for 1 on our soap. People are liking that soap, I tell you. Gotta go get some. All right. Let's see. Yeah, it was not the tree that was impeding my rope. Yeah, I can. Yeah, yeah. Talk nice to her. Okay. I recommend you take your hat off. She doesn't like hats. I recommend you take your hat off. She'll judge you. Yeah, she doesn't like hats. It's like, why are you wearing a hat? All right, I'm gonna take this off. I can get that. I could cut that with this small saw, but let's do it with the Milwaukee. Okay, it's definitely short enough to not hit that septic. So we got the Milwaukee double battery Forge 8 amp hour. What I like about these, and my Husky saw has an extra switch. This is the switch. You just get on it and you're ready to go. Okay, since I have spikes on, I got tripping hazards. Let's get this out of here. Oh, let's hook this up. And we're gonna do this little containment. All right, I've girded my loins. That's what that's called. All right. Well, they might want to dig this out. All right. I sight through the curve there. A little lower on this side. All right, now I've cut about 50% through. I'm a little low. It's loose on that hickory. I could probably just push it over. Oh, I can take a little bit more. It's only about an 1/8 inch there. It's just a little standing trunk. And look how low I was on the other side. That's why I didn't want to go. You know, it's the little trunks that you end up not lining up. You know, I wasn't taking it seriously. Yeah, if that would have been a 2-foot diameter, 3-foot diameter. You don't want to be that far off on your hinge. Game of trees. We're having fun. We'll probably make a video out of that. Like and subscribe, don't forget. Most of you don't. And we'll see you next time. About to go up this game of trees. We are having fun.
There's always a rest when you're playing the game of trees.